I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site. GoPro stock soars as another analyst says it would be a good buyout candidate for this company.
I'm Patricia Wu at the Salomon BioTech Conference in New York City. Hear what experts in the space have to say about the investment climate and opportunities in the growing life science industry.
I'm Remy Blair in San Francisco. A small cap biotech is seesawing on a licensing deal with Big Pharma, and two mega caps are teaming up to develop medical robots. Will soon be replaced.
Welcome to Small Cap Nation. I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. Shares of GoPro are rocketing higher after the second analyst in 3 months says Apple should buy the company. FBR and Company analyst Dan Ives, in a note to clients, said that GoPro would fit with Apple like a glove, particularly as it works to build its software ecosystem amid saturation in global smartphone sales. Now, this is the second analyst to float such an idea over the last 3 months. In September, Northland Capital analyst Gus Richards said the wearable camera maker would make a compelling acquisition target for Apple from a hardware, software, and content perspective. Well, U.S. steel has been saved from the worst year in decades. Steel prices in the U.S. have dropped so much that imports are finally declining. That's giving shares of U.S. Steel some relief in a year that was shaping up to be the worst since 1992. U.S. Steel had lost 73% in its share price through Wednesday, which would have been its worst year since then. The metal's price has plummeted 41% in the past year. Parsley Energy expanding its holdings in West Texas's Permian Basin and is selling shares to the public to finance the deal. The Texas-based independent oil and gas exploration and production company has entered into an agreement to acquire 5,200 acres in Upton, Reagan, and Glasscock counties in the Permian Basin in West Texas for about $150 million. Well, Blount International, a maker of saw chains and other equipment used in outdoor industries, said it will be acquired for $855 million by a pair of New York private equity firms. The buyers, American Securities and P2 Capital Partners, will take Blount private while maintaining its workforce, headquarters, and manufacturing operations in Oregon. The company's sales have surged in the past 5 years. Well, lots of small cap companies making news today, so here's a look in today's small cap wrap. Horizon Pharma agrees to buy Crealta Holdings for $510 million in cash. Allegheny Technologies cuts its quarterly dividend by more than half. Finisar says its revenue topped estimates. Nordson earnings missed per share. NRG Energy Director Terry Dallas bought 2,000 shares. Restoration Hardware sales missed estimates. Sun Edison has sold 333 megawatts of wind power assets. And designer Vince's third quarter sales missed estimates. Well, if you've ever wanted a replica of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber signed by Mark Hamill, you can bid on it today. Sotheby's is hosting its first ever auction completely dedicated to Star Wars. There are more than 600 original action figures up for bid online. The collection includes a Luke Skywalker with double telescoping lightsaber, Darth Vader helmets, and limited edition toys. The auction house joined forces with Japanese designer, music producer, and creative entrepreneur Nigo for the auction. The items are from Nigo's private collection, which was started in the 1990s. Men's Warehouse executives say they didn't know just how toxic the promotions, such as the buy one, get three free at its struggling Joseph A. Bank brand would be when they bought it. But they say they've got a plan to fix it. Chief Executive Doug Ewert said Men's Warehouse has a history of turning around troubled brands, and it saw a strategic opportunity for market share growth. But they weren't aware of the problems that lay ahead. He says they're beginning to execute painful but necessary steps to restore the long-term sustainable profit model and reshape the business toward a healthy and growing Joseph A. Bank. Restoration Hardware rides record results to big gains. The home furnishings retailer has had an up and down history, but recently it's taken full advantage of the recovery in the U.S. housing market to capture a strong growth opportunity. And investors clearly like it, sending shares up today. And fiber optics company Finisar saw revenue and profit top expectations. The results were driven by the increasing rollouts of the fastest new technology for networks and data centers, primarily driven by growth in 100 gigabit Ethernet transceivers and 10 gigabit tunable transceivers and wavelength selective switches for telecom applications. Well, when it comes to biotech, it's all about the pipeline. The CEO of NASDAQ-listed Accorda Therapeutics tells our Patricia Wu about their products.
We got our first drug approved 5 years ago. It's called Ampira. And it's a unique drug. It's a pill that people with multiple sclerosis can take if they have walking impairment, which a lot of them do, and it can improve walking for people with multiple sclerosis. So it's a wonderful contribution to people with MS. And so that's actually made us a commercial company. We have used the funds that are coming in from that to invest in six other clinical stage products. So these are in clinical studies in people with different conditions. The ones that are the most advanced are CBT-301, which is an inhaled form of a drug called L-DOPA that is meant to help people with Parkinson's disease. In Parkinson's, people wind up having severe motor problems, they slow down, it's very difficult for them to function, and that can happen unpredictably during the day because the oral medication they take becomes more and more variable over time. This is a way, we hope, of giving them a quick shot, an inhalation when they start to turn off, it's called, to turn them back on and make them more functional again. So that's in a phase 3 clinical trial, so hopefully that works, and we have some very good phase 2 data, so we're hopeful, but you never know until you get through the trial.
Before you go on to a next product in development, let's talk some more about the CBT-301.
Sure.
Give me a little bit of color from the data that you've had and the potential,
right,
the significance here.
So we did a phase 2, what's called a phase 2 trial, and it's a relatively small number of people with Parkinson's. I think it was 60 some odd people. But what we were able to show was that there was a statistically significant improvement versus the placebo group. So the people who had the actual drug versus the one who got the placebo, within 10 minutes of taking these puffs, they were able to show improvement on a common motor score. So their motor function was improving, and it was statistically significant as early as 10 minutes after the dose. So we thought that was very encouraging, and now we're doing a larger study with 345 people with Parkinson's disease and looking to see if we can confirm that effect.
And when will we have data from this larger study?
We expect to have it next year.
And obviously efficacy is always key, but so is safety. What does the safety profile look like?
Well, the safety of the drug itself is well known because it's been taken orally for many years, and it's a relatively safe drug. The issue here is, what does it do if you inhale it? And our technology is a very special, highly engineered powder that came out of MIT that allows you to deliver about 10 times as much drug as ordinary inhaled powders can do. So far, we're not seeing any issues with that. It appears that the drug is virtually completely absorbed very soon after you inhale it, but we are doing a 1-year follow-up study, a safety study, to see if there's any impact of that.
So let's move on now to some of your other favorite children. What else is in development?
Well, another late-stage product is called Plumiaz. This is an intranasal spray to deliver what's a drug called diazepam. This is a drug that is very good and effective at stopping multiple seizures from happening for people with epilepsy. So there are certain people with epilepsy who are prone to not just a seizure, but clusters of seizures where they'll have a seizure and then over the next 24 hours or so, they can count on having more seizures. It's very important that after that first seizure, you stop that train, because the more seizures you have, the more at risk you are for physical damage, ultimately for brain damage and so forth. Normally, people have to go to the emergency room when this happens, and it's a whole big deal. It's very expensive. They get injections and so on. There's only one treatment that people can use at home right now, and it is the same drug, but it's delivered in a rectal gel. Now, if you just think about that, someone's just having a seizure, and you're going to turn them over and pull down their pants and give them essentially a rectal enema. It's a very unpleasant, very socially awkward way of delivering this drug. What we believe we've developed is a way to deliver the same amount of drug with just a puff in each nostril. You don't have to inhale it, it's just absorbed passively in the nasal mucosa, and we believe it gives you the same levels that you get from the rectal gel. Now, we're doing our studies now to prove that, and if we can prove that, we'll apply for approval with the FDA, and our target is to apply for approval in the first quarter of 2017. So if everything were to go well, we might be able to get this approved before the end of 2017.
For more on the Salomon Biotech Conference, go to smallcapnation.com.
We'll take you to San Francisco next when Small Cap Nation comes right back.
Guys, I got the jerseys. El Nino. Aquí. Spray Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Don Ovan.
Think that's me?
You guy. It's $40. Can you cover that?
I'll send it to you right now. Done.
Okay, got it. So hat trick Rick, he's the best player on our team. You get the ball, you give it to him.
Great. Rick.
On your phone, online, on the go, Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done.
All right, Don, you're on. Nope, just kidding.
Doug, you've been staring at that for a while, huh? Listen, TD Ameritrade has former floor traders to help walk you through that complex trade, so you'll be confident enough to do what you want. I'll pull up their number. Blammo. Let's get those guys on the horn. Ooh. Looks like it is time to upgrade your phone, Douglas.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
Let's go, Serena. Fight, fight. Come on, fight. Can't stop me now. Come on, Serena.
Back to the top. Here we go. 2, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, stop. Let's go back. 1, 2. Whoa, we're gonna stop there. I bet we can do it even better.
It took tennis legend Serena Williams, fencing champion Tim Morehouse, and the world-famous Rockettes years to master their craft. But it took them only moments to master paying bills at Chase.com, depositing checks at Chase ATMs, and transferring funds on the mobile app. Technology designed for you, so you can easily master the way you bank.
Bellicum Pharma shares got a lift today. It announced a licensing deal with Astellas Pharma. What are the details of this agreement?
Hi, Jane. Bellicum and an affiliate of Astellas Pharma inked a global agreement for PSCA-targeted cell therapies. Shares have been seesawing today, trading on both sides of flat. In the pre-market session, Bellicum was up by over 10%. The Astellas affiliate, Agencis, and Bellicum will develop and commercialize adoptive cell therapies for tumors expressing PSCA. Now, technology developed and licensed by Agencis will be utilized.
For a better idea of the PSCA technology, explain the science behind the cancer antigen.
Well, PSCA, or prostate stem cell antigen, is a cancer antigen that is expressed in several different types of malignancies. This includes prostate, bladder, gastric, and esophageal cancers. And Bellicum Pharma has been working on its product candidate BPX601. The drug targets PSCA based on its proprietary technology known as GoCAR-T. It is this technology that utilizes a molecular switch that has pharmacologic control over the GoCAR-T cells in a patient.
What are the financial terms of the agreement between Bellicum Pharma and Astellas?
Agencis will get an upfront license fee as well as milestone payments. These payments have sales and clinical targets, and there are also royalties on the commercial sales. Astellas Pharma, the parent company, has the option to commercialize any PSCA-based products that use Bellicum's CAR-T technology in Japan. And if that option is used, Bellicum gets an option fee and royalties. Now keep in mind the discrepancy between the market cap of both companies. Bellicum has a market cap of under $500 million, while Astellas is a pharma giant with a market cap of about $3.8 trillion. And the Japanese pharma name has a whopping 79 subsidiaries. Earlier this week, Jefferies Group reiterated its buy rating with a $35 price target. Now, Bellicum missed earnings and revenue estimates for the latest quarter, which was issued last month. Now, separately, Piper Jaffray reissued an overweight rating and set a $45 price target back in August. And Guggenheim raised Bellicum from a neutral rating to a buy and set a $38 price target back in September.
Straight ahead, we head across the pond for a look at what's happening in the European markets when Small Cap Nation comes right back.
Good. Very good. You see something moving off the shelves, and your first thought is to investigate the company. You are Type E. Yes, investment opportunities can be anywhere. Or not. But you know the difference.
E-Trade's barcode scanner. Shorten the distance between intuition and action. E-Trade. Opportunity is...
Before they sat down, one more time, just for themselves. Before the last grandchild graced the stage. Before Katie and her husband hit that rough patch. Before Kevin finally came home and the first grandchild arrived. Before the sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, and Brad's brief brush with the law. Before the second British invasion. Before Katie, Debbie, Kevin, and Brad. Before they became a family. There was a connection that started it all and made the future the wonderful thing it turned out to be. We know we're not the center of your life, but we'll do our best to help you connect to what is.
Sometimes the present looked bright, sometimes romantic. There were tears in my eyes, and tears in my eyes. And so many little things that we learned were really the biggest things. Through it all, we saved and had a retirement plan, and someone who listened and helped us along the way. Because we always knew that someday the future would be the present.
Every someday needs a plan. Talk with us about your retirement today.
Graham, how have the European markets been behaving today?
Well, after we had a mixed close last night after a very choppy day, Frankfurt, Paris and Madrid finally closed slightly up after being down and up and then down. The rest were slightly off, but still off for the week. Today we're back in the red and losing more ground on what little recovery we had made during the week. And it looks like we're going to be around about 4% off on the week by the close, which after last week is, well down. Is this just money moving to the sidelines before the Fed meeting, or is this an adjustment finally to the new normal of a slower world economy? We'll have to see how it shapes up next week. However, the euro continues to hold around the 0.9 something mark after a brief flirtation with 1.1 and more buying than selling still. On the data front, we had consumer prices in from Germany. They rose 0.4%, up from the previous month and matching expectations. It is the highest rate since May. Most of the costs were increased were in food, whilst energy still dropped a little less, but still dropped. Earlier, inflation totally came in steady at 0.4% year on year, still well below the magic 2%. One good bit of news in the UK, construction output in October was up 1% year on year after 2 months of falling back, so slightly up and beating market expectations. Importantly, also with the Christmas spending season coming up, consumer expectations for inflation remain steady, and so Bank of England will be pleased to hear that. And of course, on Sunday we have the second round of the French regional elections, and of course all eyes will be on the performance of the far right.
Well, Graham, what do we have for the end of the week?
Well, today we have a Brussels Euronext IPO, XOR, I think that's how to pronounce it, XIOR, Student Housing NV.
Is student housing a good investment?
Well, it would appear that the creators of this company believe so, they are pulling together a number of already established residences into a single company.
So how good of an investment do they believe it to be?
The prospectus claims that in the event of a successful IPO, the company will have a property portfolio of about 196 million euros, which should generate, according to the prospectus, an income of about 11 million euros annually. So, Exeter Student Housing is a Belgian property company specialising in the student housing segment in Belgium and the Netherlands, in the north of Belgium, which is Flemish speaking. Within this property segment, the company will offer a variety of accommodation, from rooms with communal facilities to ensuite rooms through to fully equipped studios, according to people's budget, and will be accredited as an RRC under Belgian law, so as a property operation. Here's what really makes this interesting. At this time, the company does not yet own any property. On the date of completion of the offer, Exeter will acquire the initial property portfolio via a series of contributions in kind, mergers, acquisition and asset deals. Another company, Alaxu NV, acting as promoter, will transfer 23 buildings through a series of mergers on the date of completion. And as it's not selling any shares, will become a reference shareholder in the RREC with an expected shareholding of about 23%. The resulting property portfolio should comprise some 48 buildings, 37 in Belgium and 11 in the Netherlands, with a total fair value, as mentioned before, of about 196 million euro. 82% of the rental income, assuming 100% occupancy, will come from the student rooms. The remaining 18% will come from retail operations based in the bottom level, ground floor of the student residences. The buildings in the portfolio will contain over 2,000 rooms and are situated in the major cities in Belgium, 85% of the fair value, including Leuven, Ghent and Antwerp, and some 15% in the Netherlands, in The Hague, Maastricht, Breda and Tilburg. At the moment, these buildings have somewhere around an average occupancy rate of about 98%, so pretty not bad. Exeter Student Housing, therefore, will have a portfolio of high quality, reliable student housing for those students looking for the ideal place to study, live and relax, and who have the budget to afford it. A place with a little bit extra, you might say. The company is committed to extend its portfolio through post-IPO acquisitions to get somewhere around 218 million by 2016, and improve the rental income from 11 million euros. The prospective initial gross dividend yield is somewhere around 4.5%, and the company will be left with a leverage of about 44%. So an interesting IPO, but I think it needs some due diligence. It's all today from Graham Brown at Small Cap Europe.
We'll take you to San Francisco next when Small Cap Nation comes right back.
Everyone works hard for a reason. Working together, we can help you prepare financially for when 2 becomes 3. Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far.
You want to be the best investor you can be. You want to cut through the noise of an overwhelming amount of analysis. You want the insights that will help you decide which ideas to execute and which to leave behind. You want your trades executed in 1 second or less, guaranteed and routed with institutional quality technology. Look no further. Open an account and find more of the expertise you need to be a better investor.
When I got the phone call that we had received the grant, I held my breath.
To have a program like this is a big reward.
Being a Chase Mission Main Street grant recipient is a game changer.
One of the biggest surprises in starting a small business is the number of hours we should work for the first 20 years.
One of the great things about this grant is that it is going to let us invest in some additional inventories.
It's going to allow this business to go to the next level.
Being a recipient of this grant, we can't be thankful enough.
It's a dream come true, and I'm still in awe.
Two big names in healthcare and technology announced the formation of a new company. What's behind the pairing, and could the tie-up create a fleet of robotic surgeons?
DuPont and Dow Chemical may be getting together just to break up, but Johnson & Johnson and Verily are teaming up for a venture. Verily is the name for Alphabet's LifeSciences company. The venture between the mega-cap companies will be called Verb Surgical, and the aim to create a new robotic surgery company. Back in March, Johnson & Johnson and Verily teamed up to develop a robotic surgical program. The goal is not to create a fleet of surgical robots, but assistants who can help surgeons perform operations. Verb's surgical platform will include robotic capabilities and medical device technology, and financial terms for the venture were not released.
J&J and Verily plan to use surgical instruments that are being developed by Ethicon. The name may not be familiar to people outside of the medical field. How integral is Ethicon's involvement?
Well, that's a great question. Ethicon is Johnson & Johnson's wholly owned subsidiary. It's a surgical device specialist. The medical device expertise from Ethicon and Verily's data expertise are integral to the venture. Ethicon is developing new surgical instruments for Verb Surgical, and the leadership of the company has also been named. Verb will be led by Scott Hunikins, who came from a manufacturer of medical imaging equipment known as Volcano Equipment. As for the operations of Verb, it will be headquartered in Mountain View, California, on Alphabet's campus.
And before we wrap it up, tell me about the latest FDA approval of RevMed-X's bullet plugging syringe. Is this the latest disruptive technology in the medical device space?
Well, some of you may have heard of RevMed-X's XStat syringe. The Oregon-based startup uses a very simple method to save lives. The military device helps stem blood loss in bullet wounds. Now, the XStat 30 device is a syringe that has 92 tablet-sized sponges. The cellulose sponges contract when it comes into contact with blood. The company says excessive bleeding can be stopped within 15 seconds. Now, XStat could give the wounded more time to reach an emergency care facility. While pain management is not part of the device, it is better than manually stuffing gauze into an actual wound and applying pressure. Now, the implications of this application off the battlefield come at a time when Capitol Hill is divided over gun control. As for the company's competitors, while patient safety technology was scooped up by Stryker Corporation back in 2014 for $120 million. Now, Patient Safety's subsidiary is behind the safety sponge system that makes barcoded surgical sponges that work with tracking software. Key players are paying attention. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave seed funding to the company so that XStat could be tested to stop postpartum bleeding.
Listen up, investors. What to buy, sell, or hold. Our daily segment on what the experts are recommending when Small Cap Nation returns.
Guys, I got the jerseys. El Nino. Aquí. Spray Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Don Ovan.
Think that's me?
You guy. It's $40. Can you cover that?
I'll send it to you right now. Done.
Okay, got it. So hat-trick Rick, he's the best player on our team. You get the ball, you give it to him.
Great. Rick.
On your phone, online, on the go, Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done.
All right, Don, you're on. Nope, just kidding.
Doug, you've been staring at that for a while, huh? Listen, TD Ameritrade has former floor traders to help walk you through that complex trade, so you'll be confident enough to do what you want. I'll pull up your number. Blammo. Let's get those guys on the horn. Ooh. Looks like it is time to upgrade your phone, Douglas.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
Let's go, Serena. Fight, fight. Come on, fight. Can't stop me now. Come on, Serena.
Back to the top. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, stop. Let's go back. 1, 2. Whoa, we're going to stop there. I bet we can do it even better.
It took tennis legend Serena Williams, fencing champion Tim Morehouse, and the world-famous Rockettes years to master their craft. But it took them only moments to master paying bills at Chase.com, depositing checks at Chase ATMs, and transferring funds on the mobile app. Technology designed for you, so you can easily master the way you bank.
Lots of activity in today's buy, sell, hold action. ACI Worldwide rated neutral at Credit Suisse. Dean Foods was rated neutral at D.A. Davidson. Granite Construction raised at FBR Capital Markets. MicroStrategy rated a new buy at Mizuho. Parsley Energy raised to outperform at Iberia Capital. Verifone rated new neutral at Credit Suisse. Thanks for joining us on Small Cap Nation, and we'll see you back here Monday. Until then, check back for the latest news and research on smallcapnation.com, Facebook, and Twitter.